this is Juliet Gladies Jayasuria. Welcome to Evaluate to Motivate segment. In this segment, we will be talking to champion evaluators to learn from them the art of evaluation. Today, we have with us Marcus Udokang, the Evaluation District 42 Area E Champion in 2021 in Canada. Hi, Marcus. Welcome to Evaluate to Motivate session.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Marcus. And here we go. Let me ask you the first question. So tell us about your journey as an evaluator. When and how did you discover that evaluation is your strength?
That's something I'm still working on. I think I'm not as good as I want to be right now, but I think I've learned a lot of things along the way. So that's been my journey of listening to people who are good, listening to the feedback from my peers, and having that incentive to want to grow. So I think that's the journey that most of us should be on. And remember, there's always three perspectives to how you see an evaluation. It's your point of view, what you see and hear. It's what the judges or what others see and hear, your peers. And then it's what you think other people think about you, if that makes sense. So you've got to see things from different perspectives. And that's all part of the growth into that journey to becoming a good evaluator.
That's fantastic to hear that we have to see about different perspectives. So having said that, so what are the strategies to be adopted to open an evaluation speech?
Okay, there is an official judging international speech contest judging ballot. And on that ballot, it's divided into three sections. And the first section is the content of your evaluation, which counts for 50%. Then there's the delivery, which counts for about 30%. And last but not least, the language, which counts for 20%. So let's look at each of these sections just very quickly. And when it comes to content, you're looking at speech development. What's your structure of the speech? Is there a foundation there to make it sound good? Is it organized well? Is it effective? Have you achieved your purpose? Have you said what you set out to say? Are the people who are listening, the judges and the audience, are they interested in what you're saying? What about the value of your speech? In other words, do your ideas, are they cohesive? Is there logic to them? Is it thought out from the beginning to the end? Or are you all over the map trying to get your point across? So that's the content. And when it comes to delivery, you have to look at your body language. Are you just stiff, or do you move around? If you're on stage, are you using your speaking area? Or if you're on Zoom, are you using that square speaking area effectively? What about your voice? Are you effective in that vocal variety? Do you give flexibility, distinguish between different characters with different voices? And what about your manner? Are you assured of yourself? Are you enthusiastic? Or do you just sit there monotone, boring? So this is all part of the delivery, the physical, the voice, the manner. And the language, the last section, the language, is all about appropriateness. Are you speaking to your audience? Each audience is different. Do you understand your audience? Or are you just speaking to anyone in general? And also correctness. Are you using the proper grammar, the proper pronunciation? Are you selecting your words properly, and so on? So that's it. Content, delivery, and language. Those are the three items that really constitute the strategy for a good, effective evaluation speech.
That's fantastic. I think overall you spoke about a 360-degree evaluation. So that was actually going to be my next question. Oh, okay. But you covered up all this answers for the next question itself. So I get to know that you have to open with a lot of enthusiasm when you have to open the speech too. So having said that, so how can we effectively manage time to organize the evaluation speech? You said that there are so many components which we need to cover up. So how do we manage the time?
Okay. So I was going to say, just to add on to your 360 evaluation, just like there's other points that can include a 360 evaluation. Like,
please go ahead.
So for example, the recommendation and your commendation, those are two important points. Okay. So when it comes to recommendation, I mean, now you understand content and language and all that, those sections, but how do you put forward those ideas in that 360 evaluation? So recommendation, what could the speaker have done? Why is it important what they've done? How can the speaker do it or do it better? So those would be like a recommendation. And then commendation, you might say, well, what did you observe as a judge? How did the speaker do what they did? And why is it important? So I just want to add that part to complete that 360 evaluation. On the point of managing time effectively, you got 3 minutes. 30 seconds for an introduction, 20 to 30 seconds. I'd say 2 minutes for 2 points. And then 30 seconds to conclude, to tie up. That would be a really good, effective use of time. And then that asks yourself, well, how am I gonna express myself in those 3 minutes based on those sections? You could either give a quick, swift overview and then hone in on 2 points, or you could hone in on 2 points and then give that overall review. You have a piece of paper in front of you. Draw a line down the middle. One section should be for positive remarks and one section should be for improvements. In the way that you're going to articulate yourself, make sure that you start off with a bang. For example, you could have a quote, "All the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players." Your speech starts off on the stage to improvement, something like that. You know, it could be a bang. Or you could say something to the effect of, I'm going to introduce you to 2 things you did well and 1 thing that you can improve on. And then you could go into, the whole point is that introduction really has to have a bang. It has to tell the audience what you're going to do and just do it. Make sure that when you explain those 2 points, you say, well, you did well here because it helps that speech to, you want to explain why what they did was good. Then you might want to say for an improvement, you maybe want to improve, you might want to add your vocal variety because you need the audience to be able to be captivated by your ideas. So you've given what they should do, and then you've given a reason why they should do it. Then you conclude, you tie up. So let's look at this. You were on the stage, you really were exceptionally good with your words and your vocal variety. And I felt that you should just add that little tinge of pepper and salt to improve by doing this, this, and this. So you've tied up nicely. That's a good, well-structured evaluation and something the audience can understand, something the judges can understand, something that can get you good points. So I think that would be a good structure for an evaluation.
That was wonderful to hear from you, Marcus, the way you structure your speech on your evaluation. While we have to know about the structure, so should I ask you, like, is it important to conclude? What methods do you prescribe for conclusion?
Yeah, I think you should conclude. It depends on your timing. If you've gone too long, maybe you don't have time to conclude, but I think you should, because it helps you to tie up loose ends. You want to bring those ideas together to make that valid, that vibrant point. In other words, people, we as humans, we tend to listen to a sentence or a conversation. Sometimes we need that point, that idea to be repeated.
Yeah, re-emphasize.
Re-emphasize. And at the end of the 3 minutes or the 2 minutes, if you've re-emphasized that, yeah, now I understand what he was talking about or she was talking about. So I think tying up those loose ends at the end I think it's vitally important. You got 30 seconds. You can do it. You got time.
Okay, that's a good point. So how should a Toastmaster prepare for an evaluation contest?
Well, I've never been in an evaluation contest outside of a club, and for a long time I ran away from evaluations. I want nothing to do with them. But I'll say some things that you could do are to go onto YouTube and search for these names: Kyle Murtaugh, Lance Miller, Darren LaCroix, Mark Brown, Press Vasilev, Verity Price. Now, there's a lot of winners of evaluation contests over the years, but these folks happen to be good at evaluations. They happen to be good at speaking at Toastmasters, and they've won many, many awards. These are kind of like the heavyweights in evaluation and public speaking. So check them out. The more recent is Verity Price, who won last year at Toastmasters. And also there's another video that I recently listened to called 2021 World Championship of Public Speaking Top 3 Speech Critiques. And four of these names that I've listed are there evaluating the top 3 winners of the evaluation contests, or top 3 winners of the speech contest last year at Toastmasters. It gives you an excellent way of being able to analyze a speech. So if you want to prepare for an evaluation contest, you need to listen to people who are good.
Yeah.
And there's also documents out there. There's an evaluation guide. You can search for it, Toastmasters Evaluation Guide. I think it's called a Toastmasters Guide to Speech Evaluations. There's another one called Toastmasters Evaluation Guide. They're all PDF versions. You can skim through this or read through it. That's the best way. And then practicing. So practicing. Watch the really good experts, read some stuff about it, and practice. So those would be 3 ways I think would be best to prepare for an evaluation contest.
Well said, Marcus. I think I too did the same thing when I wanted to explore how the evaluation speech should be given. I watched Kyle's video and I used the strategies, what he used. And that's how I won the Area 28 contest.
Nice.
So as a champion evaluator, so what is your advice to the new Toastmasters to prepare themselves for the evaluation contest?
There are evaluation guidelines at Toastmasters. Probably best to review those. If you're going to do an evaluation, you're speaking to the person that you're evaluating. So you might say, John did really well in his speech. John, one recommendation is John. And you can mention the person's name throughout, as opposed to speaking to the audience, right? You're speaking to that person you are evaluating. You are not there to be critical, right? You're there to critique. So you don't say, John, you did this wrong. John, you should have done this. John, you failed to do this. That's not going to lift their self-esteem.
Correct.
You're there to provide feedback, to encourage them. It's a personal opinion, true, but you need to motivate and inspire people at the same time.
True.
There are different ways to evaluate. There's the sandwich method, there's the 3-2-1 method, there's a good, better, brilliant method. A lot of evaluators will say in the beginning of their evaluation, I'm going to use the sandwich method. I'd recommend not even to bother with that, because some people in your audience may not know what these things are, and then you're going to need time to explain what this is, and it's going to take away from your evaluation.
Better to avoid jargons.
You could avoid jargons, but what you could say is, let's take a look at how Marcus did well in his evaluation and a few points on how he could improve. Correct. You don't have to explain what that method is. You can just go right into it. I think you also want to point out things like the usual suspects: your eye contact, vocal variety, your gestures, speech structure, all that kind of stuff. You need time to be able to explain those things briefly, but most of all, you got to be clear, and you've got to come up with an idea that's going to attract the judges, and you'll just know how to do that, I think, over time. But you don't want to sound like everyone else who's evaluating. You want to Have something that's unique, that makes you stand out.
Try to create your own style, maybe.
Try to create your own style. Yeah. And you'll get that from listening and watching other people who are good evaluators.
Okay. So that's it. We have completed the questions, Marcus. Thank you so much for your valuable time and knowledge that you have shared with us today. Hope this will help all the budding evaluators in the Toastmasters journey. Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome.
So this is Juliet signing off. Thank you.